want you to know that you are in listen-only mode, so there will be no distractions and no asking questions at this point. We are going to be monitoring social media. We created a hashtag, as you've gotten in the emails, leading up to this date. If you are on Twitter and you are on Facebook, please utilize the hashtag #GoPaperless. So you can find our Facebook page at facebook.com/Repri. You can go ahead and leave a comment on our Facebook business page there. You can also tweet us at twitter.com/Repri_now and utilize that #GoPaperless hashtag if you've got questions. Brent, our CEO, will be monitoring both of those streams, and he will be there to help you out as soon as he possibly can. So I wanted to do just a quick introduction here. Want to let you know who I am, what I'm about, and kind of what our company philosophy is going forward here while we get into this webinar. So my name is Kelly, as I mentioned. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Repri. I got on board with Steve and Brent about 6 or 8 months ago, back in February, is when I started with the company. I had been a Repri user up until that point for about 1.5 years. Prior to that, I had actually been paperless in my business for I'm going on about 3 to 4 years now. So I've been utilizing my iPad with digital signatures, wet signatures, utilizing various apps such as Dropbox and PDF Expert and those sorts of things for the better part of almost 4 years now. So coming on board with Brent and Steve within Repri was a pretty good fit for me, fully believing in the power of paperless. And obviously, we're here today to talk about objections that we typically have from our clients, our colleagues, and our lenders. A little bit about me: I'm a dad, a husband. I've been a realtor here in Calgary for the past 7 years, and I am a massive Green Bay Packer fan. So any of you Bear fans that are in the audience today, I feel sorry for you guys this year. I'll just leave that at that. Get into a little bit about who Repri is. Repri was founded by Steve Kenway and Brent Lauinger in 2010. Steve comes with a very strong technical background, and Brent comes with a very strong sales background. Brent is also a realtor in Calgary. Seeing a need for being able to be a lot more streamlined within his business, Brent continually jokes about having created this piece of software mostly for his mom, who is also a realtor in Calgary. He's got to a point where his mom and dad would be snowbirds and head down to the Phoenix area to take the winters off, and she would drop off a box full of files for Brent to go through and look after her business while she was gone. He just saw a niche and a need that there's got to be a better way to do things. So as a result, Repri was born. We are a transaction management, document storage, e-signature, and now as of late, a forms provider of software for real estate professionals. The site is fully mobile, meaning that you can take your business with you anywhere on your iPad, your iPhone, your Android, whatever device, tablet that you want to use, obviously also on your laptop. Repri is dedicated to superior customer support and service, and we're continually improving our product through our database of agents that utilize us on a regular basis, getting opinions from our user groups, try to improve the product and make sure that you guys have every tool in your bag going forward into the industry and into the trenches. So in this, I'm going to cover a little bit about what an e-signature is. I think it's really important that we fully understand what an e-signature is and what the difference is between a wet signature, a traditional signature, a digital signature, and an actual electronic signature. So a wet traditional signature is actually pen to paper, okay? We could also define a wet signature as something along the lines of actually signing on your iPad with a stylus. So through an app like PDF Expert or within the in-person signer on Repri as well. You have an opportunity to be able to sit down in front of your clients and actually have them physically sign on your iPad and then place that signature where it needs to go. Now, electronic signatures are a little bit different. As defined by the province of Alberta's ETA, or the Electronic Transactions Act. An electronic signature means that it's an electronic information that a person creates or adopts in order to sign a record that is attached or associated with the record. So essentially, what I would define an electronic signature is within the e-signature platform of our product, you have the opportunity to pick a font or a style of signature where you're not actually signing, you're putting in your name and it's choosing a font for you. That in itself is a true electronic signature. So the major difference between the two, a wet traditional signature and an actual electronic signature, is just that. A wet signature, you're actually signing. The electronic signature, you're not, you're choosing a font. So we just went through the types of electronic signatures. So electronic signature's definition is that it indicates a capturing of a signature on an electronic document. A digital signature is a more secure subset of electronic signatures, meaning that it's a digital signature. Electronic signature provides also a method of authenticating the signing party, and this includes the ability to copy signing party signature, document tracking, and authentication and verification of a signer. I just had a meeting here this morning with somebody that was interested in signing up for our product, and one of the things that I brought up was the idea that your clients would be down on a beach in Mexico come February, and they're down there for a week, and you've got their property listed for sale. Now you get an offer on that property and you start negotiating. We all know that negotiations typically happen over the phone, but we eventually get to a point where pen needs to go to paper and the initials and signatures need to happen on that contract. And so how would you actually physically get that document to them? I would suggest in the past that it was typically done via fax. And so you're sending that fax down to the resort and you've got the people at the resort handling that document. We cannot verify whether the person at the resort actually signs that document or whether it's our client. I would suggest through the platform that we've just described here that this is way more secure in that we can actually track through geolocating where that client is on that beach within about 5 meters. So we can actually pinpoint the location on the beach that they're at when they've got their iPad sitting in front of them, they're actually signing that document. That's how secure these documents are, and that's how secure the system is, and that's the way that we need to be representing this to our clients, lenders, and our colleagues. So being that the majority, I think, of the people on this call are with AREA, we wanted to state what RECA's position is with respect to electronic signatures. And the reason I'm going through this is because I really feel like this is probably going to help you in the future when you're looking at speaking to your lenders, your colleagues, and your clients and telling them about this great new product that you're using and how it's absolutely streamlined your business. There is always going to be a question, well, is it legal? How secure is it? You can give them these statements via RECA in that it's RECA's view under the ETA or the Electronic Transactions Act that electronic real estate purchase agreements and real estate service agreements with electronic signatures are equivalent to those written on paper. This is straight from RECA. This also applies to service agreements and contracts in the real estate property management, mortgage, and appraisal industries. The ETA has yet to be judicially considered, so this position may change in the future. Now, that last statement may cause some concern for some people, and all I'll say to that is electronic signatures have never been tested in the courts, and that's essentially what this is saying. If somebody were to come and say, you know what, we want to test this out, we want to spend the time, money, and effort to fight the fact that we digitally signed or electronically signed a document, and now we're trying to back out of a contract and we're saying that we actually didn't, then let them do that. But I can pretty much guarantee you that if they were to come forward with some sort of system that has been approved by AREA or CREA, that they would have a heck of a fight on their hands. We put in a link there so that you guys can actually go to this PDF, maybe just copy that down. I'll leave that screen up for a couple of more minutes so that you can actually copy that down and then go to that document online and actually read that and read up what RECA's true position is. So the last part of the slide is talking about some of the new forms that were released February, August, and as recently as this month. We and you agree that for our communication, electronic signature will have the same function as an ink signature, and that any document or information exchanged between us will be considered delivered when they are sent. So essentially what's happened is AREA has actually changed the purchase contract to include electronic transmission and electronic signatures, which is huge because for the longest time, the only thing that they had included was faxes. And so we know that faxes are quickly going out. Fax machines are a thing of the past, and most people nowadays, most agents I would suggest, are scanning and emailing their documents over to the other side. With the product that we have in place, I mean, the idea of having a nice, clean contract that realistically will never be printed off unless it gets to your conveyancing department is just so exciting to me and has absolutely transformed my business over the last couple of years. So let's get into some of the objections. From the lender's point of view, they aren't legal. How do we know who signed? And we need a wet signature. Some of the solutions that I've used in my own business are, in Alberta, they are. I essentially ask the lender where the underwriter is located. Typically, the underwriters from a lot of the big banks are going to be based out of Ontario. And in Ontario, electronic signatures have been adopted on every single piece of paperwork with the exception of the purchase contract. And so the lenders out east are going based off of that knowledge. And what they're doing is they're supplanting their laws on top of ours. And so I would suggest in going back to the lender and saying, well, look, electronic signatures are legal in Alberta. It's part of our Electronic Transactions Act. It's part of the statute of frauds, and it's adopted and accepted by AREA, CREB, and RECA, as well as a lot of the other major boards within our province. Why is it that Ontario or your lender specifically is not going to adopt this? Now, another question would be, how do we know who signed? Well, within our system, we have a tracking certificate built right in, and so if there's ever any question as to whether who signed the document, your client is tracked by their IP address. They're geo-tracked and geolocated wherever they are on the globe. And so I would suggest that if this is a problem with a lender, that you go into the info tab within your client's database within REPRE and find that certificate and either print it off and send it over to the lender, or simply grab a PDF copy of it and send it over to them and say, look, this is where my client was the day that he signed the property. This is the time that they signed. This is how they logged in with their email address. And if there is ever any questions, perhaps you should start using passwords and make everything password protected in the future, because that is also available. Now, the last thing that we have here is we need a wet signature. Now, is it a pain in the butt to have to go back to your clients and say, listen, your lender isn't going to accept the electronic version or the font style version of the electronic signature, so we're going to have to get the wet signature? Yes, of course it's going to be a pain in the butt, but you know what? If that needs to happen, then you need to make that happen. And so what you would have to do at that point is get down belly to belly in front of them and have them actually sign the document with the in-person signer functionality that we have built in. And that will give you essentially a wet signature. Now, your colleagues. There's some in the industry that still really do not understand what an electronic signature is. And we're trying to change that with these style of webinars, and hopefully you guys will get out after this. Hopefully you've got enough value here that we've provided that you'll be able to go back into industry and talk to your colleagues and say, look, RECA's position is this, AREA's position is this, our position is this, and electronic signatures are legal. And if it's something that you don't know about, here's that RECA position paper. I'll send it over to you, and this should put any concerns that you have at ease. And so your colleague may come back and say the lender won't accept the e-signature. The only lender that I know of at this point that is not accepting the font style of electronic signatures is CIBC. So I would suggest that you find out from your client, if you don't already know this, who the lender is. And then you can, from there, gear exactly how you're going to structure the offer. Are you going to have a wet signature, or is it going to be okay for you to have the electronic font style signature? The other objection might be, I don't want you to have my client's email address. Now, this may not come up, but in order for you to really make this transaction go very, very smoothly, you will need to be able to talk to the agent on the other side. And if they have an issue where they're down in Okotoks and their client's up in Airdrie, and there's absolutely no way that they're going to be able to get to their client within the 45 minutes that they have before the offer is dead, perhaps you can talk to them and say, listen, I've got this great system where I can send everything over to your client and we can get this thing completely wrapped up and you do not even have to leave your house. Would you be interested in that? I can pretty much guarantee you that if somebody were to come to me in the dead of winter, in the middle of December, with 5 feet of snow on the ground and a blizzard happening like we had the other day, and presented that scenario to me, absolutely no problem. The last thing that I want to do is put my life in jeopardy driving on the Deerfoot to get where I need to go just to get a signature on a document. So this may not be common practice. However, I would suggest for the cleanliness of the document, for the ease of use, this is something that you can easily overcome as far as an objection from the other side. Again, it's not something that probably was going to pop up, but if it were me and that scenario was playing out exactly like I said, it's something that I would certainly offer and that I have offered in the past. Now, this is the most common objection from those in the industry, and that is that these signatures just are not legal. The easiest way to handle this objection is to quote directly from RECA. And then, like I said earlier, take that PDF copy of that position paper of RECA and send it over to them. Let them know that AREA has endorsed electronic signatures. It's in the Electronic Transactions Act. AREA would not have allowed us to build out every single form that you use in your day-to-day business if they did not feel like electronic signatures wasn't the wave of the future, but actually the here and now. So that's something that you can take to the industry member that you're doing a deal with tomorrow or today or next week. If they have a problem or an issue with the legality of the electronic signatures, you can let them know that, yes, the electronic signatures have not been tested in the court. However, there is the Electronic Transactions Act in place that allows for electronic signatures to take place within real estate purchase agreements. Now, your clients. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this one because I get this a lot from agents that are thinking about going paperless and thinking about being digital and thinking about utilizing their iPad within their real estate business. And some of these common objections that we get from the clients are, well, I don't trust technology, or I don't know how to use it, or is it legal, or I want paper copies. Now, we've gone over the legality of electronic signatures in depth, so I'm not going to really cover that here. The trust factor in terms of technology, not knowing how to use it and wanting paper copies, let's go through that. So the best solution that I have come up with within my own business is simply this. I show up for every single meeting, whether it's with a listing client or a buyer client, with one device, and that is my iPad. Or if you've got a different tablet, a Surface Pro, whatever it may be, show up with one device, and that is it. Prior to you even going out and showing them houses, if you are truly paperless in your business, you should be able to sit down and say, look, I've got this one device in my business that I run everything from. If you want paper copies of a contract, I can certainly email them to you and you can print them off and you can put them in your file. However, when you work with me, when we're out actually looking at houses, I won't even be providing you with paper copies of the MLS sheet because everything that I have is in my Evernote. And I'll be making notes in Evernote on those MLS PDF copies of those sheets, and I'm going to send you all of those sheets with all of my notes at the end of the tour so that you've got them in your email. And if you want copies of those, then you can go ahead and print those off on your own time. But at the end of the day, we are paperless. We are paperless for a couple of different reasons. One of the reasons is not simply because we want to save trees, but because we want to be efficient and we want to provide the best experience that we can to our clients. And one of the best ways to offer the best experience is to have efficiency within our own paperwork. We also have to communicate to them that this is a very safe way to do our business. So we've probably all heard about the big issue that we had with iCloud and the hacking of iCloud and all of these celebrity nude photos and whatnot. And, there may be some people that say that are kind of in the know, and maybe they've heard about it. Maybe they don't understand the whole thing and how that all worked or played out. But maybe they'll come to you and they'll say, well, it's not safe. Look at Apple, one of the largest companies, most successful companies in the world, got hacked. How can we know that your system isn't going to be hacked? Well, I can tell you that we can't tell the client that it's never going to be hacked because there's no certainties in life. We know that. But what we can say and what we can tell them is that we have some of the most strictest technologies in place and some of the most strictest security certificates within our system that we use, that we are absolutely 100% confident that it will never be hacked and your information will never be shared or spread across the internet. Now, in terms of safety and from the signing perspective and how we know how people are actually, who's signing, like, you know, one of the questions was, well, what if you send me over a document and my kid opens it up on my laptop or on my desktop and he goes through and signs everything? Well, that could happen. There's no question. But the question that I would ask them would be this: does your kid, does your son or your daughter, however old they are, do they have access to your email? They do? Well, that could be an issue, right? So if they've got access to their email, I mean, the simple question is why? Now, the other way around that is to password protect every single transaction that you do. And so if you password protect everything and the only person with that password are your clients, how much safer can it get? So just to recap, your clients are probably going to be the hardest sell on this. I go into every single appointment with one device. I tell them exactly how my business works, how it's operated, how it's run, how safe it is, how efficient it is. And I can honestly tell you that I've had people as old as 86 that did not have a computer, to people as young as 22 purchasing their first house, and a quote-unquote digital native who is very comfortable with technology. I've had everybody else in between. And in the 4 years that I've been paperless and the hundreds of houses that we've sold, I've only ever had one person say, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable doing this. And so if you want to keep the client and you want to make them happy and they're not absolutely comfortable with it, then maybe you'll have that one person in 4 years like I did, where you actually had to break out the paper contract and get a hand cramp by filling everything out on pen and paper. So another common objection that we would get from our clients is, well, you know, I'm older, you know, I'm 58, I'm 68, I'm 78, I don't have a computer. I don't run into these people very often, but you know, I've heard of other people that have, and it sounds to me like they're out there. They're like a ghost, maybe. I don't know. It's if you've seen it, then you'll believe. I've run into very, very few people that do not have some sort of device, whether it be a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop of some kind. And what I would suggest is simply this: if your client doesn't have a computer, you can still be paperless. That doesn't mean that you can't be paperless, that you have to have paper copies of everything. What it does mean is that you can get in front of your clients, be belly to belly with them, just like every other agent says this business is about. We have to be belly to belly with our clients, or you know, our business is going to dry up. I totally believe that. I absolutely understand it. And so this would be a great opportunity for you to do that. If your client does not have a computer, no problem. You're going to get in front of them. You're going to get that listing document signed. You're going to get that purchase contract signed. And every single document from there on out, you're going to have to get signed. So you're going to have to be belly to belly. Unfortunately, if they want paper copies, then the next time you are near a printer, you can print everything off. And the next time you have to go and do a signing with them, you can bring them paper copies. But at the end of the day, I would not allow the objection or the idea of, well, you know, I can't be paperless with this client because they don't have a computer to even get in the way of that. You're either paperless or you're not. And I choose to be paperless in every aspect of my business. Couple of facts. You can actually have a wet signature of your client within the document if you choose the style part of the e-signature platform if you're nervous about the lender. So don't use that part. So we've talked about wet signatures. You all know what a wet signature is. You have a very good idea and understanding now at this point what a wet signature is. If you have some inkling that the lender may not accept the actual choose a style or choose a font type of electronic signature, then get them to sign. Utilize the in-person signer. I've done videos on how to utilize the in-person signer within our product. It's very simple. It's very easy to use. And once you do it once, you'll know how to do it in the future. A couple of other facts. BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario have all adopted electronic signing to some degree. As mentioned previously, in Ontario, e-signature is going to happen on every single document with the exception of the purchase contract. We know that there's legislation that has been tabled within the Ontario government. We were hoping that it was going to be passed earlier this year, but within the turmoil within the political structure, it doesn't look like it's probably going to happen now until the first quarter of 2015. And that legislation simply is their version of our Electronic Actions Act, which is going to basically state that electronic signatures can be used on every single document, including the purchase contract. Now, in Saskatchewan, from what we understand, the font style or choosing a style portion of the e-signature is not yet legal. So you in Saskatchewan, you're actually going to be able to use a wet signature, the in-person signer, for a little bit longer. You are going to have to be belly to belly at that point. At the initial point where you're actually getting the signature signed. Once you have that signature signed once within our platform, within our program, once they've signed that signature once, it's going to stay with their account. So the next time you have to get them to sign something, it will look like a wet signature. It will look like wet initials. So you shouldn't have any issues with that. Now, lastly, your clients will think that you're absolutely professional, efficient, tech savvy, and a complete rock star with the ease and the ease at which you present these options to them. Being paperless within your business, I mean, everybody wants to be that tech-savvy agent. However, not a lot of people have the gumption to actually go down that road. And so what I would suggest is if you are considering going paperless, you're tuning into this webinar because you're considering going down that path, every paper file that you have currently right now on your desk or within your filing system, leave it there. You don't have to be paperless in the past, but look at being paperless in the future. So that's it. We kept it to about 30 minutes like we said we were going to. As mentioned in the emails that have gone out previous in the week, we want you guys to be happy with the product, and we want to give you an opportunity. If you want to sign up today, we're going to give you a 14-day free trial of the premium version. So that is everything. That is the electronic signatures, that is the transaction management system, that's the service report, that's the unlimited phone call support that you'll get for the next 14 days. That is the whole gamut. That is everything in there. So we're going to give that to you guys today, 14 days for free. We also have a referral program. So those of you that are tuning in today, if you are already an existing user and maybe you're having some issues with handling some objections from the clients, colleagues, and lenders, if you are interested in helping us grow the platform and realistically helping to move our industry forward into the 21st century, we do have a referral program that we put in place. And so if you're interested in that, you can reach out to Brent and get through to him at the phone number that I'm going to have on the next slide here. So food for thought. Think about this for 1 second before you guys opt out. How much time will you have with your family or friends if you can run the majority of your business and offers from the comfort of your own home? I wrote a blog post about 6 months ago that actually outlined how much money the average agent would save if they were doing about 30 transactions a year. And I believe the number I broke it down to is around $15,000 a year, based on a very small investment into the system over the course of 12 months. The ROI here is massive, and it's not just on income, but it's also on time spent with family and friends where you're not running from Okotoks to Airdrie to get initials and signatures on contracts. Any questions, comments, or support, please reach out and give us a call at 1-877-667-7343. You can email us at info@repre.com. The website is there. Feel free to check it out. We've got some new skin up on the site at repre.com, new sliders and whatnot, a little bit of a new look for us. So really hoping that you guys will have a look at that. Hope that you enjoyed the webinar today. We really hope that the webinar gave you some good tools for your tool belt to go forward and handle those objections. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate it.